were, of course, huge gaps still in my story, and I was still tempted to try and make it up. In fact, at one point I was going to write a novel instead of an attempt at a memoir. And about 18 months ago, I was with Rosie actually in Cartagena at a Hay Festival. And I had to interview 3 novelists there, Anita Desai, Monica Ali, and Aminata Forna. And I rather modestly said that I was writing a family memoir and that I got stuck. And that I was thinking of turning it into a fiction because I thought it would be much easier. With one voice, these 3 novelists shouted, no, fiction is so much more difficult, which was a real revelation. They said fiction is much more difficult because you're more slap bang up against the limits of your imagination. So I went back to my work with renewed enthusiasm, managed to patch over the gaps, and then came to the other part of my task, which was to try and make a selection. So it's not at all a warts and all memoir that I've written. It's very much a story. It's an investigation of my father's family and of a theme which runs through it of denying who you are. It turned out, as I'd long thought, that my father had Indian blood, very diluted and very far back. But look at me. I mean, I played, apart from Julia, I played many exotic parts in my career as an actress. In fact, I started playing so many of them as playing Indian princesses and Moroccan peasants and Russian peasants and Greek peasants, French peasants, always peasants, hardly ever princess. That I was thinking of, and always with the same actors, the same 2 dark actors, who we'd be hauled in whenever they wanted anybody vaguely exotic. And we were going to sack our agents and start our own agency to be called Dago's Inc. Luckily, I started to be. I did say to my agent, I'm not playing one of these parts, and along came Julia Flight. Then I got lumbered with playing lots of patrician English ladies, because casting people aren't terribly imaginative. But luckily I had knocked the sort of exotic bit on the head for the time being. But in any case, I don't really tell the story of my career. I only tell the story of some of the parts that I played that seemed to me to echo what was in my family cupboard. And I was, of course, commissioned to write the book because I'm an actor. I don't think, if I'd just been the descendant of a hidden Roman Catholic from India, that the book would have been commissioned. So, of course, I had to put myself into the book, and I found it very, very difficult to do. And I've noticed in some of the coverage of the book now that it's out on the shelves that there's a certain churlishness that I don't do as kind of warts and all biography, not only of my career, but also of my private life. And I suffered at the hands of the Sunday Times this Sunday, who I'd given a very long and detailed interview to, and the editor decided to pull it because he decided there wasn't enough personal revelation in it. So one is constantly haunted by this idea now, which I think is a fairly new phenomenon, that as an actor, your private life is up for grabs. And I've tried, and I've had a very enjoyable private life, and perhaps one day I will write about it, but not on this occasion. And I just briefly like to bemoan the fact that there are no boundaries anymore, that they assume that if you have a certain element of your career in the public domain, that everything about you is up for scrutiny, and if you don't deliver, then you get punished for it. That's quite hard. I also haven't really written about the process of acting very much. I have a tiny bit, but I really found it very, very difficult to do that. And I want to quote from somebody far more eminent than I am on the subject of actors talking about acting, because it exactly expresses what I feel. This is the programme from Paul Schofield's memorial service, which was held 2 or 3 weeks ago, and whom I greatly loved and admired as an actor, and had the privilege of working with on one occasion. And this is from something Richard Eyre wrote. A friend of mine once asked Paul to talk about acting for a lecture series she was organising. He wrote her this letter. I found that an actor's work has life and interest only in its execution. It seems to wither away in discussion and become emptily theoretical and insubstantial. It has no rules, except perhaps audibility. With every play and every playwright, the actor starts from scratch, as if he or she knows nothing and proceeds to learn afresh every time, growing with the relationships of the characters and the insights of the writer. When the play has finished its run, he's empty until the next time. And it's the emptiness which is, I find, apparent in any discussion of theatre work. Well, that's very well said, I think. So I'm not going to pretend that I've written a sort of handbook of how to act, but I'm going to end with a very short quote from the book, which I think explains how I have used my life and my family's life in the work, and how I've tried to talk a little bit about my career as an actor. My mother had so many relatives, it was hard to keep track of who they all were. It never bothered me, they were just our family, and anyone over 25 was called auntie or uncle, whatever their actual relationship might be. And anyone younger was good to play with, especially my mother's brothers. But none of this rolled over to my paternal grandfather and grandmother. There was no feeling of warmth towards them whatsoever. Even their names were awkward, but it was unthinkable that they might be shortened to Granny and Grandpa. Everything to do with them was stiff, formal, cold, and difficult. I was glad to escape from a spooky hospital room back to the familiar world of hugs and teeming family, pet cats and lambs and piglets, chickens to be fed, and endless trees to be climbed. I didn't give Grandfather a second thought. Our grandfather had summoned me and my big sister, but not our two brothers, to his, what he thought was his deathbed. It's only the second time we'd met him since he came back from India, and he'd said to us, "You are always to obey your parents, and you are only to marry pure-blooded Englishmen." So I continued. It took another 12 years for these memories to surface, as I sat at another bedside with another man who was also dying, only this time it was acting. I was playing Julia Flight in the television series of Brideshead Revisited. We were filming the death of Lord Marchmain, my father, who's returned to the family seat after many years abroad. As his older daughter, I take upon myself the responsibility of bringing a priest to his bedside, so that at the last he might be reconciled with the Roman Catholic Church that he'd abandoned half a lifetime before, even though I myself do not follow the faith anymore. This, of course, set up a strange echo for me, and as Laurence Olivier looked uncannily like a handsome version of the men in my family, with the same domed forehead and silver hair brushed back, a strong, somewhat broad nose, and high cheekbones, art was clearly imitating life. Was it Errol Flynn who used to annotate his scripts with A.R., acting required, and N.A.R., no acting required? This was definitely an N.A.R. situation. Thank you.